Today, let's collect Dr. Fate. Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting in our 33rd episode of the Let's Collect series. This has been on hiatus since last summer. Intentionally/unintentionally, I kind of got out of the habit. I want to get back in the habit of doing these. They're a lot of work, but a lot of fun for me. So today we're talking about DC's Master of Mysticism, Dr. Fate, who was created back in 1940. So obviously we got a Golden Age character here. So some of these books at the beginning of this list are going to be super expensive. But I do have a little guide for how I do that, since the prices are going to move and change, to keep this list somewhat up to date longer in terms of what the value of these books are. That guide to how I price or give you an idea of what the value of books are is going to pop up now. So you can see kind of, it's just categories or ranges. This should last a little longer, make it a little easier for you to determine kind of what you're going to invest in certain books. We're talking about Dr. Fate today. He's been around for a long time, since the Golden Age, always been a member of the Justice Society of America, occasionally been a member of the Justice League of America, rarely had his own book or a sustained version of his own book. And also, since Crisis on Infinite Earths in the 80s, there's been a multitude of people don the helmet of Fate and take on the persona, not just the original Dr. Fate, Kent Nelson. But we're going to talk through all of that here in a second. So although this is not a absolute complete guide, here's your good place to start for the key comics of Dr. Fate. All right, we'll start this list with his first appearance in More Fun Comics number 55 from 1940. First appearance of Dr. Fate, the Helmet of Fate, the Amulet of Anubis, the Cloak of Destiny, and Enza Kramer. Next, his second appearance and first cover appearance was More Fun Comics number 56, also from 1940. Another huge book. Next, we have All-Star Comics number 3 from 1940. This is the first appearance of the Justice Society of America, a great Golden Age key that goes for a lot of money. Next, we have More Fun Comics 67. This is his first original origin, as well as the first appearance of Nabu the Wise. We move into a little more affordable with Justice League of America number 21. Obviously a huge book with high values, but fairly affordable at lower grades, in his first Silver Age appearance. His first kind of solo issue was first issue special number 9, and kind of a redone Origin of Fate in the 70s. Next, we have DC Special Series number 10, another Origin of Dr. Fate and kind of one-shot that is also very affordable. Next, we have All-Star Squadron number 47, another Origin of Dr. Fate. We just kept getting these updates. This is kind of a post-crisis update. Next, we have Dr. Fate number 1 from 1987. This is the first appearance of Eric Strauss as Dr. Fate. Linda Strauss, who eventually joins him, is kind of together being Dr. Fate. Next, we have Dr. Fate number 1 from Volume 2, first kind of ongoing Dr. Fate series. Very affordable book. Next, we have Dr. Fate number 25 from Volume 2. The Strausses both pass away, and Enza Kramer takes over as Dr. Fate when Kent can't join with the helmet anymore. Next, we have JSA number 3, the first appearance of Hector Hall as Dr. Fate. So we're getting into this turnover of a bunch of different people taking on the role. Next, we have Countdown to Mystery number 1, the first appearance of Kent V. Nelson, the grandnephew of Kent Nelson, becoming Dr. Fate. Next, we have the Earth 2 Dr. Fate. We have the first appearance of Khalid bin Hassan, and taking over as Dr. Fate in Earth 2. And then finally, we have our current Dr. Fate, the first appearance of Khalid Nassour as Dr. Fate, another one who's being guided by Kent in the role. Okay, so those were the key comics of Dr. Fate. As you can see, a lot of the ones at the end are just different versions that have popped up over the years. But most of those are super affordable. So if you're really interested in Fate, a lot of those you can get pretty easily. And also, we're going to, as we dig into the stories here in just a second, you're going to see we got stories for a bunch of those different versions, so you can learn kind of which version is your favorite. So with that, we are going to dig into the important stories or best stories involving Dr. Fate. Okay, let's dig into the stories related to Dr. Fate. First, we have this Immortal Dr. Fate series. It was a 3-issue of reprints retelling stories from the 40s, the 70s, and some early 80s flash backup stories 306 to 313. It's just a great introduction to Fate. Next, we have Dr. Fate Volume 1. This 4-issue miniseries gives you a post-crisis reintroduction of the character, as well as the start of the Eric Strauss and Linda Strauss run as Dr. Fate. Next, we're going to move into Dr. Fate Volume 2, the second half of that, which is 25 through 41, which collects the run of Enza Kramer as Dr. Fate, with Kent as her guide. He couldn't join with the helmet anymore, so she became Fate. Next, we have Dr. Fate Volume 3. This is basically the Hector Hall run as Dr. Fate. You can also see his run in JSA 1 through 59 if you enjoyed this 5-issue series. Next, we have Countdown to Mystery 1 through 8, and this is the Kent V. Nelson run as Dr. Fate, his grandnephew, and just gives you another version of Fate that you can read and learn about. And finally, we have Dr. Fate Volume 4, this 18-issue run of Khalid's run as Dr. Fate. Is a great place to start. You can also read the Justice League Dark run from this period where he shows up quite a bit. Okay, so those were our best stories for Dr. Fate. Our last thing we do when we do these Let's Collect is we give you a little bit of some fun covers to look into that you might go and collect. Usually, most of these are usually pretty cheap, but occasionally there's a few covers that cost a little bit more in value. No different here as we talk about Fate. Interestingly enough, for a character that's been around since 1940, there's not that many covers that were focused on him. This was actually a pretty easy list to build. By all means, I'm sure there's covers that you guys like that I did not include, but we got 10 covers that you can collect for Dr. Fate. All right, we're going to start with one huge Golden Age cover. This is More Fun Comics 61, and this is part of a long run of him on the cover of More Fun Comics, and this is just the most dynamic one, and I thought it'd be fun to include. Next, we're going to break my rule and have a repeat from our keys. This is All-Star Squadron number 47, just a great Todd McFarlane cover that I felt needed to make the list. Next, we have Dr. Fate number 2 by Keith Giffen from the first volume of Dr. Fate. I just thought it was a fun helmet cover. Next, we have Justice League America, number 31. We got an early Adam Hughes version of the Enza Kramer Dr. Fate making the list, and it's a very popular cover. Next, we have Dr. Fate number 31. This cover from Peter Gross. I thought it was a very dynamic and cool cover. Next, we have this Countdown to Mystery number 7, Mario Alberti cover. There's a bunch of these reflection of the helmet covers. I thought this was the most dynamic. Next, we have this Jesus Marino, Justice Society of America, number 30 Dr. Fate cover. Just thought it was a really dynamic cover and enjoyed it. Next, we have this Ken Lashley, Earth 2, number 31 cover. Just a very cool cover of Dr. Fate. We have this Dr. Fate number 1, this Ibram Mustafa variant of the number 1, the first appearance of Khalid as Dr. Fate. And yeah, just a great cover. And finally, we have this Justice League Dark cover for number 8. The Alvaro Martinez Bueno cover. I just love. Okay, everyone. That is your guide to the key comics, important stories, and fun covers for Dr. Fate. Obviously, like I said, there's a bunch of versions here. My man Kachung is a big Dr. Fate fan, so he is originally the reason that I decided to do Dr. Fate for one of these. So shout out to you, Kachung. But yeah, these are all a great place to start if you're looking to collect a character. Obviously, some of those Golden Age stuff super expensive, but most of the modern stuff very affordable. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next time.